Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is your boy C Will back to you with another video. And you know, we've been on this Asus ROG Astral 5090 run. Yes, first two videos has been doing really good. Appreciate y'all for checking those out. The unboxing, the setup, the install, and all that good stuff, man. I've been getting some real good comments, real good feedback. So appreciate y'all. So the next thing that we're going to talk about, you see the title, I vertical mounted the 5090. And I'm going to answer your question today. Should you vertical mount this? And I would say yes. If you're using the Lian PC 011 dynamic case, you definitely going to have to vertical mount, because as you saw my first video, when I installed it, I had to leave the glass panel off. And that's because the 12 VH power cable sticking out just a little bit. And you know, we're going to go over to the actual case in a minute, but I vertical mounted already. But one of the significant things I found out is that, you know, initially when I had the glass panel off, the temperatures and everything that I was getting was average around about 65 degrees, but that's with the side panel off. So I was curious about what it would be the side panel on. And yeah, those temperatures, you know, they shot up. So we're going to get a little bit more into that in the video. All right, so I picked up the Lian Li. This is a VG44V2X. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a universal 4-slot. Yes, I got this open box from Micro Center, because if you've seen a previous video that I've had on vertical mounting the 4090, I already had some vertical mounts, but my cable got messed up, and I'll show you a little bit that as well. But I got this for 35 bucks. Yeah, I didn't want to spend I really just needed the actual ribbon, the actual cable. It's PCIe 4.0 cable that comes with that. Of course, you know, the 5090, it supports PCIe 5.0. And initially I had to plug directly into the motherboard, and I was getting full bandwidth. With the actual riser cable, I'm actually getting PCIe 4, but I'm still getting by 16. Not a big deal. They do have some actual PCIe 5.0 cables going to be coming out. I'm just going to wait. It's not a big deal, but just to let you know, that's what I use. And this is actually a 4-slot GPU mount. And so, man, I'm about to get ready to show you what that looks like inside the case. Let's go.
Okay, so as you can see, there she is. That's what she looks like, vertical mounted. And man, I'm gonna tell you, it looks way better in vertical mounting than it does with it just being horizontal. Again, this is 4 slots. So as you can see on the back, that's what it looks like from the back. It definitely takes up, I think it's about 6 slots on the 011 dynamic. So you just have to remove what you need to remove, but it definitely works. And like I said, I don't know if you can be able to see down here at the bottom. That's what it looks like. It sits right on top of the fan. So I have fans that's at the bottom. It definitely has clearance, and it sits right on top of it. The fans at the bottom are intake, and they pull in fresh air. But if I look at this from the side, you could be able to see that it almost sits up against the panel, but it still brings in enough airflow. The fans that's in the back, those are also intake, and then my AIO at the top is exhaust. So that's how I currently have that set up. This cable right here is PCIe 3.0. This is the original mount I had from Lian Li. Still, you know, still works. It's a little raggedy. It's been through the ringer. But that cable started messing up on me a while back, and then I end up buying this actual universal mount from Cooler Master. And this is what I was using in the same case, I was using this to vertical mount the 4090. The issue, I like this mount and it works pretty good, but I don't know if you could be able to see that, but the actual plastic started coming off, and it broke off not only, and it also broke on the other side as well, but at the bottom it also started breaking off as well. So I really just went on another cable to replace this, but the more I started working with the 5090, and I was trying to use this mount because it's adjustable. This thing slides out and it slides back and forth, and it's great. Because this was open box and I got it for 35 bucks, it came with the whole mount. And that's what I use. This actually ended up working out better because it's made for the Lian Li cases. And so I just used it. And it works out. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to try to pick this up. Pick it up from Amazon. I think they should have it. And if they don't, I'll put a link to some other places that does, but Amazon should have it. Or if you got a Micro Center area, go to Micro Center. Let's get back to the computer and let's actually go over how I was able to handle the actual temperatures after putting on the actual glass panel.
Okay, so what you're seeing right now, Cyberpunk 2077, and this is on stock settings. But what I want you to pay attention to is the top left-hand corner, where the temps get up to, the average frame rate, 1% lows, and the amount of power that's being used, the wattage on the card. It's crazy. I'm playing maxed out settings with path tracing, and yep, those temperatures are right with the glass panel on with the vertical mount. Well, we're going to fix that. I'm about to show you. I just want to show you, see what this looks like. All right. So as you can see, here's what I did some runs earlier. Here's, what I was able to come up with. So stock settings, just like with the gameplay that you just saw. When I ran this earlier, I had a max voltage of 1.040. But this is actually showing 1.070. So that's interesting. But it averaged around 1.031 millivolts. Max temp I hit earlier was 75 when I was doing this. This is 74.8. And then the average temp was 71.3. Max memory temp was 84. The average temp was 81.8. The max boost that I did when I was running this earlier was 2812. This actually shows 2940. And then the average boost is 2784. The max fan speed was 77%, which was 2394 RPM. And the average fan speed was 2239 RPM and 74%. Max power when I was doing this earlier was 584. What was this? This one was 587. Then the average power was 555 watts, and the average FPS was 69, and then the 1% lows was 56. Now, I did actual undervolt to do this, and I know you're like, okay, undervolt, you shouldn't have to undervolt. Well, let me tell you something. I did playing around, and I'm actually show you what I did. This is not going to be a step-by-step process. I'm just showing you what I did. If you want to see a separate video on that, because it definitely goes into detail, I've done undervolting videos before. I did one on the 3080 Ti. You could check that out on the channel. But this one, kind of find out it was actually a little bit different. So let me show you. So inside MSI Afterburner. So what you have to do is you actually need to find out what your max voltage is. And so like on here it says 1.070 volts in order to hit these boost clocks and stuff like that. So once you find that out and you see what the max boost is, you could kind of play around with a couple of things. So what I do is I actually go inside the curve editor. You could click that button here. And then it's going to show you a curve. And then I have GPU-Z up, and that's because a couple of things. One, with the riser cable that I'm using. So my slot is a by 16 5.0 PCIe 5.0, but the riser cable, I'm still getting by 16, but it's at 4.0, which is correct. And then pay attention to the GPU clock, the boost. This is factory. It boosts up to 2580. That's guaranteed. The actual Astral card can boost up to, but it goes higher, as you can see. It actually hit 2940. But when I did some tests earlier, it was, it kind of averaged around 2784, something along those lines. But on this curve, it's just a couple of things that you would need to do. You could start off with down here at the bottom. It may be hard to see, but I'm going to zoom in. But down here at the bottom, it's the millivolts. So you could start off with 900 millivolts. It's kind of ideal to be like if your max is 1.070 volts, then you want to come in maybe like 100 millivolts below that. So that would be like 0.0970, which is kind of like where you want to hit ideally. So I saved my profile. And so I think on profile number 1, I was actually able to do 925. So let me show you. So what I did was, if you start off with 900, what you have to do is you could choose the dot here for 900. If you hold down shift on your keyboard and you click on the dot, raise it up until, so what's interesting is that you actually need to go over your boost. I think what I did with this one, I chose 2900. So if we start off, if you could start off with 900, but I'm going to do 925 because that's what I know would work for me, 925 millivolts. So you hold down shift, you click on a dot, you raise it up to 2900. Sometimes you kind of get it close, and then if you keep your finger on the shift key and use your arrow keys, you could go down by one. So when you do this, 2900, then you keep holding down shift. If you hit L, it's going to show this line. And what you could do in the area that's not showing a point, you left click and drag it over, and then continue to hold down shift and hit enter twice. So what this does is actually going to flatten out the curve. So this will be where it will pretty much stop at. It won't go above that. And so what you do is, now with the 5090s, from what I read, you could pretty much kind of max out this slider for the memory clock. It gives a slight overclock on the memory. And if you're using a different program like GPU Tweak, you can actually go above that. But 2000 has been working. So you can kind of play around with this and see what works for you, test it out in the games and stuff like that. And then when you hit the check mark here, it's going to save. So now what happens is, once you do that, it's going to give your GPU a new boost clock. So the new boost clock is 2,923 megahertz instead of the 2580. Once you do that, then all you have to do is just start testing. And so I chose Cyberpunk 2077 to do my testing in. And the reason why I chose that is because you could use Unigine Heaven and you could run that. But I'm going to tell you, if you're really trying to test out the settings that you just did, if you want to test out this undervolt, you need something that's really going to push your card. And the reason why I say that is because like Cyberpunk 2077 really pushed, like I'm playing at 4K, high settings. I use DLSS with the transformer model. It's full ray tracing, path tracing. And it hits it hard. And the reason why you want to do this is because that's like, if it could pass the extra stress test dealing with Cyberpunk, then you could pretty much, you still want to test out other games, but you could pretty much, it'll work in any other game. Cyberpunk is like one of the heaviest games. It's even heavier than Black Myth Wukong. It's heavier than, I think it's heavier than Alan Wake. I didn't test Alan Wake yet, but this is just quick and dirty. And once I did this, I've been testing this out for hours and hours and hours, trying to find a sweet spot. I originally started off with 900 millivolts, and then I started going up by 10. The game, Cyberpunk would crash, and I would test it out again, play for a while, and then it would crash. Sometimes it takes 20, 30, 40 minutes to play a game before you see it crash. But then once I got to 925 millivolts, smooth sailing. So everything was good. I'm going to continue to test this out, but here's the results that I got so far with Cyberpunk. So with the slight overclock on the memory, 2000 megahertz, I ended up maxing out at 0.920 millivolts, and it averaged 0.916 millivolts. My max temp went from being 75 originally down to 70. Yes. My average temp went from being 71.3 down to 67.6, which is very close to what I was originally getting with the actual glass panel being off. I used to average around about 65 degrees. It was really good. And really that kind of, with the glass panel being off, it's like having an open test bench or open air test bench. And so basically you're just at the mercy of the cooler on the actual card. But once you put it inside the case, depending on the airflow that you have in the case and its other different dynamics that goes along with that, that's when your cooling is really at the mercy of the case and not necessarily the card. So here's a way that you could be able to combat that. So not only did the temps get better, my actual memory temps got better too, which is usually it's not a big deal, but I still average 80. So 10 degrees above what max temp was. And then so the average boost. So I went from 2812, or we could kind of use this 2940, to 2775. So I started thinking, I was like, oh man, I'm kind of taking a dip on the maximum boost. But here's what I found out. Average boost was 2702. Here's 2784. Not that big of a difference. And then I started to realize, I was, okay, the fan speed. So I was at 77% on the max. It dropped down to 67. I was at 74 on the average. It dropped down to 64%. So that's a big deal. It's 10% less on the actual average fan speed, but the power. Here's where I know. So I was almost hitting 600 watts and I was averaging 555 watts. So that actually dropped down to where I maxed out at 507 watts. And then I averaged 479. Think about that for a second. So on the average, we're pretty much almost 100 watts that we're saving. Not only that, but the average FPS. It was 69. I hit 70. On the 1% lows, it was 56 or 58. So I'm receiving the same performance at less wattage, less fan speed, less power. This was a win. And also my room temp was 73 degrees. So it's a win-win situation. Now imagine if I had a better case with better airflow, you know, the temps would be even lower. And you can actually play around with this and you could tune this to actually do an overclock and a undervolt at the same time. My goal was to keep the same performance or better, but have less temps, less wattage, less fan speed, which equals noise, right? And so I achieved exactly what I was looking for. So definitely you could test this out. You know, once you do this, you got to find your sweet spot to see what your car is capable of doing. But my whole goal was just to kind of get this back to where it needed to be. So yeah. So if you have a case that doesn't have so much as good airflow and you decide to either vertical mount, or let's just say that it just has bad airflow, you're not even vertical mounted, then here's a way that you could be able to save on wattage and you could be able to still run your car. And it's still, and really, you know, comparing this to the actual finals edition, we're still hitting way less on the temps and also theoretically still having your actual overclock in place. So from the actual factory setting. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. I hope this helps somebody out. I know it helped me out. And definitely, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.